Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Bridge Insights chat. I'm Dominic. I'm the business developer at Tixl. And today's topic is going to be the liquidity mining pools of our V2 bridge. I hope everybody's excited to have a little chat. We created this weekly chat to kind of have a way to speak to the community about the features of the new cross-chain bridge, because the bridge has a lot of like DeFi functionalities that may be a little bit new to some people, and answer your questions. I hope to have like a fluid conversation after the initial kind of presentation I give, and we can have some exchange and feedbacks. Okay, let's get into it. If you want to ask questions, you can either like get on stage and we can actually have kind of a voice interaction. That would be pretty cool and would make this also a lot easier for me to not just be talking to myself. If you don't feel comfortable with that, or you just don't want to do that, you can also send more questions or write them in the chat, and I will look into that as well. Okay, then let's get started. Maybe I give a quick introduction already about Tixl. Tixl is a German company with its TXL token. Our goal is to connect all blockchains, and the cross-chain bridge is one of our core products now that have been a lot of time spending, developing, improving in the last weeks. All right. Let's get into the liquidity mining pool part. Okay, first of all, maybe what is liquidity mining? I think we all know where the word mining in blockchain originally came from. Everybody knows Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin mining is basically the process of using these GPU units to mine new Bitcoins, which helps the network to get consensus. We have a similar thing in Ethereum, and that's kind of like how the word mining came into the crypto space. What is now liquidity mining, kind of distinct from that, is liquidity mining was kind of the idea starting out that all of these projects realized they somehow had to get liquidity for their DEXs, and through like things like impermanent loss, that wasn't very attractive in automated market makers for a lot of people. So kind of a lot of projects, they started to give out these rewards for people that liquidity provided for them. And that was kind of the entire process. What started like the DeFi revolution was like giving out these reward tokens. Okay, how does the cross-chain bridge liquidity mining work now inside of our bridge? It's a little bit different here now because obviously we also want to attract liquidity with this liquidity mining. But as you guys probably know, one of the big features of the cross-chain bridge is that we only have single asset liquidity. So we don't really need a pair. So there's no impermanent loss, meaning you can basically provide in liquidity in a token, and then in the liquidity mining pools, you will get that same token back. So it's kind of like you could see that also as a staking module from the way that it works, but from the way it's thought out to be, or what is the goal of the liquidity mining pool, it is really to like attract liquidity and retain liquidity. Maybe a question that some of you guys have now is like, how is that different from the farms, which are also used to attract liquidity? But obviously, there's like a limit to how many tokens we can have farms for, because we cannot just emit endless tokens. And potentially, there could be hundreds of tokens listed on the cross-chain bridge. So the liquidity mining pools are kind of like our opportunity for giving a pool for any asset we list. Like any asset we list gets a liquidity mining pool, and in that liquidity mining pool, we put 15% of the fees generated from that token into the pool for that token. So every time somebody makes a bridging, 15% of the fees of that bridging get put into the liquidity mining pool. So that could be with stablecoins, 15% of the 0.15% or the original fee rate for all the other tokens. So another question here would be like, how can you, like, is there kind of a limit? Do I have to stake them for a certain amount of time? The answer to that would be no. You can always withdraw your liquidity. You just take your tokens out of the pool, and then you will get your LP tokens back, and then you can remove the liquidity from the bridge, and you will get your original tokens out minus the 0.2% withdrawal fee. Yeah, are there any risks to this? I mean, I'd say the biggest risk is like if you just put in your liquidity and then you would remove it right away again, you would lose 0.2% of the withdrawal fee, and you would, plus the gas, you would probably be losing money. So you should always look on kind of a longer time horizon for this liquidity mining pool provision. So yeah, to that we have like a really cool feature to kind of either for protocols themselves provide liquidity and then earn some percentage back in their own token, or communities could in the midterm just take over the liquidity provision completely from a protocol if the APRs are good. So it's kind of a really cool tool for us to give back to the users of a bridge and the coin holders in the bridge, because a lot of other bridges, as you guys might know, they work with like a mint and burn principle. So that means kind of the bridge generates all the fees, and the protocols themselves or the users of those protocols themselves, they don't really get anything back. So yeah, it's a really cool feature. All right. Okay, let me maybe check in before I go to the written questions, so I don't have to speak all the time. If anybody wants to come on stage and maybe ask a question about this. So yeah, if you have a question, maybe raise your hand so I can put you on stage. Okay, let's see if this works. Hey.
There. Hi.
Hey, how are you doing?
Thanks for having us here. One question, you mentioned risk, and that is just withdrawing and losing the 0.2%. In the future, will there also be some kind of insurance for staked funds in terms of security risks or hacks or something like that?
Yeah. We're already working on that. We're talking to a bunch of different insurance providers. It's kind of a bit of a process. That's why it's like wasn't implemented right from the start, because you have to have an insurance provider that can provide you with insurance either on all the chains connected to the bridge, right? Because you want to insure the pools kind of on each side, or you have to work with like different insurance providers where like on each chain there would be one provider that would insure the pools on that chain, which would obviously make the user experience a little bit worse, because now you would kind of have to figure out who's the insurance provider for each chain and so on and so forth. We're also still debating if we should make this like a mandatory thing where from the start you kind of pay a fee that goes directly to the insurance provider, and basically everybody's risk gets pooled together, or if this is like a opt-in, opt-out kind of Nexus Mutual type insurance. So maybe it could be cool to hear your perspective on what you would like better.
So personally, I love the idea that it's insured, right? This gives confidence to the community. And yeah, looking forward to whatever you propose next. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for coming on stage. It's always cooler if you can speak to somebody directly. You got anything else, or?
No, that was my question. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks for speaking. Okay, Ben also wants to come on stage. Hey Ben, how are you doing? You're muted still, so maybe you have to unmute yourself. I can't hear you right now.
All right. Okay. Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. How are you doing?
Great. I'm doing fine. Thanks, Dominic. Just a quick question regarding the process of bridging from one chain to another. So as far as I understood it, usual bridges kind of lock and mint the tokens on one side and on the other side. And
Exactly.
the cross-chain bridge does it with minting. So basically, liquidity has to be provided. Otherwise, you can't bridge your token from one chain to the other. So first question is that the right level, or is it the right understanding I have? And second question, I assume that's much more safer compared to the first version. So am I also right on this one, or what's your point of view?
Yeah, no, you got that exactly right. So first of all, I know you guys probably know a bunch of bridges that do like minting, and then you might know that there's on some networks, for example, like I don't know if you know Synapse Bridge. So what they basically do is they just create a version of their token on another network, right? So they would have a kind of like Synapse USDC on their network, and they mint those tokens themselves. Meaning, if their bridge gets hacked and somebody can do an infinity mint on this USDC token in the other network, potentially, like if you look at something like a curve pool, for example, where there could be a bunch of different stable assets, right? If one of them gets infinity minted, meaning the worth of that stable coin goes to zero, that could probably have like catastrophic consequences for not just like the bridge itself, but for an entire ecosystem in DeFi, or potentially even a chain. And basically, what we have done here is exactly as you said. It's either users, or it could be us also providing liquidity for any kind of asset, or protocols or partners themselves providing the liquidity. And then, as you said, if that liquidity runs out, there kind of is no more liquidity. So like, let's even say, like, even assume the worst case, which is the bridge gets hacked, the contracts get hacked. The maximum amount of tokens that somebody could steal would be the tokens locked in the bridge. For example, if a smaller project maybe provides $1 million in liquidity total above different chains. So above the different chains, there could be the maximum amount of liquidity stolen, which, like, if you're maybe like a $10-15 million protocol, wouldn't be nice, but it also wouldn't possibly be catastrophic. Like, for example, it was with the Poly network hack, where the hacker just could basically infinitely mint more tokens and deplete everything that was available in DeFi from that protocol. So yeah, it's maybe you can come back on stage, Ben. That's definitely kind of the mechanism behind it. It's kind of like a stopgap, and there's and you kind of limit the number of like different versions of tokens on chains, right? You might know that on some chains there's so many versions of the same token, and that's not necessarily a good thing. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. And together with, combined with this idea of ensuring the bridge, either through opt-in or opt-out, or through a shared version of the insurance, I think it would be, at least to my knowledge, that's a completely a game changer to all bridges out there, because it would be much safer than any other bridge which is out there in the market. So it's a pretty cool feature.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's sure there's also spritzes working with something like atomic swaps that are also pretty safe. But yeah, from like it's basically like a risk minimizing approach to doing this. And like you also have to understand, for example, we could also mint versions of a token on other networks and just do that, like for example, like Simmons Bridge is doing, and that would kind of be the easier way out maybe. But we are always trying to make stuff that is as secure as possible and as responsible as possible. And I think long term, this is going to be the better approach.
Completely agreed. So thanks for the explanation, and keep the fingers crossed for Tixl and Bridge Token.
Thank you, and thank you for coming on stage.